She walked into the café with the kind of silence people wear when life has bruised them more than it should. Her coat was worn out, her shoes were faded, and her hair looked like she'd tied it up on the bus ride there. People stared. Some sighed. A couple snickered. But she kept walking, straight toward a man everyone recognized. Daniel Hale. Billionaire tech CEO. The man women prayed to be matched with on dating apps. He stood up the moment he saw her, and smiled. "You must be Emma," he said gently, pulling out the chair for her. She hesitated. No one had treated her kindly all week. Maybe all year. I wasn't expecting you to stay," she whispered. "Most men leave the moment they see me." Daniel blinked, confused. "Why would I leave? You're exactly who I came to meet." Emma didn't know that 10 minutes earlier, he'd watched her outside through the window, saw her buy a single muffin, cut it in half, and give one piece to a homeless teen shivering on the sidewalk. She had nothing, yet gave something anyway. And something about that broke him. As they talked, her laughter warmed the coldest parts of him. Her honesty disarmed him. Her resilience humbled him. By the time the date ended, she still thought she wasn't enough for him. But Daniel had already decided something surprising. She wasn't the woman he expected. She was the woman he'd been searching for his entire life. Emma didn't know that Daniel had arrived early on purpose. Not to judge her, not to evaluate her, but because he was exhausted from meeting women who were polished, perfect, and pretending. Women who wanted his status, not his soul. So when he witnessed Emma's small act of quiet kindness, something shifted inside him. A man who had everything suddenly felt he had seen something rare, something real. Inside the café, Emma kept apologizing for how she looked. Her scarf had a loose thread, her sleeves were frayed, and her phone screen was cracked. But Daniel wasn't looking at any of that. He was studying her eyes, soft, tired, but filled with a glowing kindness that no designer dress could compete with. "Why were you hesitant to come?" he asked. "Because I don't fit into your world," she admitted. "I'm between jobs. I take the bus. I rent a room. I barely sleep. And you're you." Daniel leaned forward, voice gentle. "Emma, titles fade. Money changes. But the way a person cares for others? That's who they truly are." Emma swallowed hard. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Their conversation stretched for hours, dreams, fears, childhood stories, embarrassing moments. Daniel laughed more than he had in months. Emma smiled more than she had all week. When they finally stepped outside, a cold wind blew. Instinctively, Emma wrapped her arms around herself. Before she could protest, Daniel draped his own coat around her shoulders. "You'll freeze," she said. "I'll warm up," he replied softly. "But someone like you, someone who gives even when she has nothing? You deserve warmth." That moment, simple, quiet, unforgettable, was when Emma realized. This wasn't a blind date anymore. This was the beginning of something meant to heal them both. Daniel insisted on walking her to the bus stop, refusing to let her go alone. Emma tried to argue. It wasn't safe for someone like him to wait on a dark street corner. But he only smiled, hands tucked in his pockets, as if enjoying the simplicity of the moment. "You know," Emma said quietly, "most people don't see me." "I saw you the moment you walked in," he replied. She felt her heart thud. Not because of romance, but because someone finally acknowledged her existence beyond appearance or circumstance. As they waited, a little boy tugged Emma's sleeve. His mother struggled with grocery bags, clearly overwhelmed. Without hesitation, Emma knelt to help him tie his untied shoe. Daniel watched, captivated again. This woman didn't perform kindness. She lived it. When the bus finally arrived, Emma reached for his coat to return it, but Daniel gently closed her hand around it. "Keep it. Until our next date." Her breath caught. "You want another date?" "I want a lifetime of them," he said softly. "But we'll start with dinner on Friday." Emma boarded the bus, heart racing. The passengers glanced at her, wearing a billionaire's coat, but she didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt seen, valued. As the bus pulled away, Daniel watched her through the window. He hadn't told her the truth yet, about the loneliness behind his success, the nights he sat alone in a penthouse big enough for 10 people, or how he envied the kindness she carried so effortlessly. But he would. And he hoped that when she learned everything, Emma wouldn't run. Because he already knew. She was the most important person he'd met in years. Friday came faster than Emma expected. She stood outside the restaurant, elegant, warm lights, glowing chandeliers visible through the glass, and doubted every step she took. The coat Daniel gave her hung too beautifully on her shoulders. It didn't feel like it belonged to her. She almost turned back. Then the door opened, and Daniel stepped out himself, as if he'd been waiting for her heartbeat, not her arrival. "You came," he said, eyes softening. "I almost didn't." "Why?" She hesitated. "Because women like the ones you're supposed to date look nothing like me." Daniel took a slow breath. "Emma, the world has enough women who care about looks. I want someone who cares about people." Inside the restaurant, everyone stared, but not because they judged her. They stared because Daniel Hale, the man who always dined alone or with executives, pulled out a chair for a woman who carried warmth instead of wealth. Halfway through dinner, Daniel opened up, something he rarely did. "I grew up poor, Emma. My mother worked 3 jobs. When I became successful, people changed. Their intentions changed. Their hearts changed. I've been surrounded by noise for years. And then you walked in, with honesty so loud it silenced everything else." Emma blinked back tears. "I'm not the woman men dream about. You're the woman I prayed to meet," he whispered. The restaurant seemed to fade around them. For the first time, Emma realized the truth. Daniel didn't see what she lacked. He saw what she had: heart, courage, kindness. And he valued it more than money. Weeks passed, and their connection deepened in quiet, unexpected ways. Daniel visited Emma's small rented room, sitting cross-legged on the floor because she had no couch. He loved it. It felt more like home than his penthouse ever did. Emma cooked simple meals: rice, noodles, homemade soup, and Daniel said they tasted better than any 5-star dish. But the true turning point happened one evening in the pouring rain. Emma's landlord had demanded more rent, threatening to evict her. She stood outside, soaked, trying not to cry. She didn't want Daniel to see her like this, to see the parts of her life she kept hidden. But he arrived anyway, rushing from his car the moment he saw her. "Emma, what happened?" I don't want to drag you into my problems," she whispered. "Emma," he said, lifting her chin gently, "I want all of your life. Not just the easy parts." That broke her. She cried, years of fear, exhaustion, loneliness pouring out. Daniel held her, rain drenching both of them, and whispered, "You don't have to fight alone anymore." The next morning, he helped her find a better place, not out of pity, but out of love. Emma insisted on paying her own rent. He admired that. Months later, Daniel took her back to the cafe where it all began. This time, she wore a new coat, not expensive, but warm and chosen by her. He took her hands across the table. "You arrived on that first day looking like you had nothing," he said, eyes shining. "But Emma, you were everything I'd ever been searching for." She smiled, tears gathering. And for the first time in her life, she believed it. Their story began with kindness. And it would be built on love.